Hey, Mike, you there?
Ooh, I'm here.
So, 2 o'clock, and yeah, want to thank you for showing up to today's stream, Mike. And for those of you out on Twitch, this is our first stream for CircleCI on. We were broadcasting to Twitch and YouTube today. So let me introduce myself. My name is Angel Rivera. I'm a developer advocate for CircleCI. And my main mission at CircleCI is to basically provide developers with resources to help them do their jobs a hell of a lot better and faster. And yeah, Mike is also Mike Elsmore. He's also from he's a developer advocate as well from Logzio. So Mike and I and our director of DevRel, Jeremy Meese, were discussing some things we could do together as a partnership between the companies. And we decided to take a look and explore how people can use observability tools like logs.io to look at how their performance is or performance of their CI/CD pipelines. So right now, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the industry, we basically have no one's really measuring performance within their CI/CD pipelines. At least not a lot of folks that I've talked to in my experience. I don't know about yourself. Have you heard of this kind of
No,
testing, I guess?
no, it's surprising, but no. Considering during your CI/CD process, it's just a bunch of machines that are just smaller than your production. You'd assume somebody would be doing it.
Yeah, and I think, well, maybe because when you're running performance tests, you're trying to figure out, right, the performance in a grand scale, right, a bit, or a more robust scale than what you would do in a smaller kind of CI/CD pipeline. I know that some of our customers and users will stand up, pretty solid Kubernetes clusters or infrastructure that's actually like legit infrastructure mimicking maybe a production or staging environment, and then run simple smoke tests or load tests, right? But they're not really. I think the metrics coming back are not as detailed as something like a tool that would, like logs.io has, right? If you're talking like JMeter, I remember that was one when I was back in the day, hacking on code for production. That gave us kind of insights into what was going on in stack tracing, but it was still like convoluted, right? So everything was just coming at you all at once, and there was basically information overload on all that telemetry. So yeah, one of the things that I was interested in doing today was, wiring up some CircleCI CI/CD pipelines, maybe a sample app, and then also wiring up a logs.io agent or instance, and then seeing, running through some tests and seeing what kind of telemetry we get back, right? So. Yeah. Part of the stream, we're going to be just basically going ahead and hacking on some code, hacking on some CI/CD pipelines, and at the minimum, getting it to work. Hopefully, we'll be seeing some data flowing from the CircleCI infrastructure where the pipelines are running, and then hopefully, that data will flow into the logs.io. I guess we're using a dashboard, right, Mike?
Yeah.
To show that off. Awesome. So, Mike, you want to introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I've been talking here and give you a little background. My apologies for this. First time, right? So,
it's totally fine. I can live without being the center of attention for once. Right. So yeah, as Angela said, I am a developer advocate. I'm based over at Logzio. And so I'm relatively new to it. So I've only been at Logzio for 3 months now, so I'm still very much learning as I go. But pleasant to say that everybody's been lovely and teaching me everything I've asked, which is great. So yeah, I've also been coming across all the theories and processes and stuff that larger or just existing DevOps teams go through. I'm from a development background, so I'm used to just mushing things together, handing them over to the operator and going, see, it's your problem, not mine. So yeah, after talking with Jeremy and Angel, it was like, we're all part of the same ecosystem, the DevOps flow, and want to see how it actually glues together.
Yeah, sorry, I dropped out for technical difficulties.
Oh, was I just left unsupervised?
Yes, sir. So you might have done a great job there. Sorry about that.
No. It's fine. It's more a case of this is now live television. No swearing.
Yeah, exactly. So what real quick, what are we doing in one sentence? I missed.
Seeing if we can take some of those wonderful operations principles and applying them to your build so that you don't have to wait until it's in live to be on fire.
Yes, I like that.
Because it's great to know that something's going to stand up and survive before you give it to 500,000 users at your rush sales window.
Yeah, I have this concept, or like I give a talk about smoke testing, right? And smoke tests, a lot of folks they call them also sanity tests.
Yeah,
I beg to differ on that. Like, I think sanity tests are a little bit more robust than smoke testing, but I guess you can leverage them the same way. And yeah, so the idea that in my talks I talk about this concept of like in your CI/CD pipelines you should be smoke testing all the little bits, because smoke tests are designed to be simple, simple scoped tests. So like you're not trying to smash your web servers with as much traffic as possible and crush them, right? That's for something a little bit more robust down the road, right? So the idea behind smoke testing is, hey, let's throw a little bit of maybe some I don't say load, but let's test the things that we know that always trip us up, right? And make sure that they're not going to get in the way. So the low-hanging fruit type bugs or scenarios. And I think we can apply that today to what we're trying to do here. But we'll have a little fun and try to crush the the system and then retrieve that telemetry and try to make sense of what's going on. So before we do that, though, I think it'd be appropriate for the folks that don't know our companies and our products and the technologies we're going to be using today. It'd be pretty cool to kind of go through at least or talk about what our respective employers, the products that we produce and offer. And if you want to go ahead, Mike, and talk about quickly talk about Logzio and what you do and how you bring some value to developers.
Oh, you're letting me go first.
I can go first if you like. But
oh no, I don't mind. Right, so Logzio, if you haven't heard of us, we are a observability. Try saying that after a long day and not enough tea and coffee in you. Observability platform. So that's taking the three primary principles of monitoring, which is through your logs and your metrics, and tracing, and smushing them together to give you an overall image of what your production system looks like. So your logs are always telling you what's happened. Your metrics are telling you what's happening right now across the entire cluster rather than just a specific machine. And tracing will tell you where in that system the bottlenecks, the problems are appearing. So this is stuff that will help you debug and preferably help you optimize and future-proof things by seeing where the problems are, possibly before they even become proper problems. So currently we are built on top of entirely open source software. That is the Elk stack for our log management tooling. Grafana for our metrics tooling, and we do have Jaeger for tracing, but we won't be touching that as it's a little bit too broad for what we want to do. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, that's basically yeah, like I said, for today, we're just gonna be hacking around. It's our first one, so I expect it to be just very, very low key and just feeling our way around. But yeah, so that was a great intro to Logzio. Let me just jump in real quick into CircleCI. So CircleCI is basically a continuous integration, continuous delivery deployment platform. And the value that we bring is we enable developers to basically, write code and test their code and build their code and deploy their code, all with a single Git commit push upstream. So the idea behind CircleCI is to bring velocity, right, and also facilitate continuous integration and continuous delivery practices and principles that development teams have implemented. So again, in this day and age, I've been developing software for a very long time in this industry, and it's amazing to me in just like the short, I would say, 3 years, how automation has kind of basically just penetrated every aspect of software development, right? Before, we did have bash scripts and all these kind of tooling to do things, but it's becoming more and more prevalent. And that's what CircleCI does, is we enable developers to leverage really cool automation to get their jobs done faster and consistently, which then leads them to have more time to be innovative, right? So we're going to get into a very technical, deeper look at both products. So I just wanted to just let everyone know kind of where, what the two companies do. And yeah, Mike, so you want to start sharing your screen and let's jump into your code editor, or maybe the GitHub repo to show, I guess, the project that we're going to be using.
That would be the sensible one. Okay. Right.
And while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and talk about what we are planning to do. So prior to us going live, Mike and I were going over just a little project because CircleCI, again, the premise here today is going to be let's do some observability testing from a CI/CD pipeline. Again, normally you wouldn't be doing this in a pipeline because it's right now, I think the tools are very new, and this concept of observability is not new to developers, but the way it's being done today, and I think it's more of and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, more of a systemic or operational type approach, right? So when I was a developer, like I said, we had a few SDKs or maybe some tools, libraries that you could leverage, and they were great, right? They'd get you some information, but again, the detail wasn't quite there, right? It wasn't as say robust as it is using an observability tools. They got me too, Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. But for the most part, what we're going to do today is we're going to wire up a project that Mike was very nice, kind enough to work on. It's a simple application, right? Just a Node application. Am I right, Mike?
Yeah.
And we put it up on GitHub. It should be open. It's open to the public. And again, this is just Mike and I exploring the possibilities of running some observability tests from a CI/CD pipeline. So with that, Mike, I think we're going to be using Visual Studio Code. Can you send me an invite again to this, or share with me in Slack or something?
I will do that.
The code.
The code, the thing that scares everybody, including me.
Well, wait, there you go.
Uh,
Am I not available?
and then it says you're not. I think
Okay.
that was just
Well,
setting.
I think I might be. Let me. Oh, start or join audio call.
Invite link copied. There we go. I will via a non-public communication channel.
Yeah.
I will just quickly send that over. There's a problem you never thought you'd have, where too many more 3 screens is too many screens.
I think I'm seeing your email. It's all good.
You're what?
All right. Did you just send it? Yeah. All
Yes.
right. 2:15. Nice. Cool.
Do we have?
And I will open this.
Okay. Well, here's the repo, and as Angel said, it's just I would say it's less than a proof of concept, more a checking a theory.
Yes. Yeah. It's just us looking at it and trying to see if it's possible.
Yeah. So,
So this may be a little ugly, is what we're trying to tell you, and it's supposed to be, right? So
yeah. So the idea, simply being, is application that once deployed, we're going to be dropping this in some place like Heroku, etc., where we can then query it to get the results of our metrics test back. But to begin with, we actually need to work out how to get metric data from isolated containers in our build pipeline out to our, to Logzio, to our observability tool, so we can actually see that information. So in here, we have tiny little app. Oh, we've lost Angel again. Don't think he likes me.
I'm here. I'm just giving you a little spotlight. I'm here. I'll leave it on.
Give me
Can you zoom in a little bit on that, Mike?
Yes.
Looks
Keep
like
forgetting. Just because it looks big to me doesn't mean it looks big to everybody
Yeah,
else.
no, it's okay.
There we go.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that should be good.
Cool. So just a wee server. So there's a few endpoints for just getting the information to and from Logzio, but then there is this one which is just slurping up a load of memory. So the idea was, because metrics, the standard machine metrics, CPU, memory usage, disk I/O, it's kind of hard to artificially stimulate those. So we thought we'd go with memory because it's the easiest one to just go, you have X number of megabytes. You can stuff that full just by using in-memory data.
Right. Yeah, we can also set some pretty low thresholds. So I think we have a 2 gigabyte threshold.
I haven't actually set the threshold because the first things first was getting the information out.
Gotcha. Right. So we're still in. All right. That's great. So cool.
Yeah. So here we go. That's that. And then where was the? Gotta love when you click things and it gives you the dictionary option. Right. So here be our. I'd like to say this is the first time I've ever had a circle config where I genuinely am scared, where it feels like there be dragons. It's doing things you should not do in your testing pipeline.
Right. Yeah, we are there is some hackery going on here, and yeah, but that's okay. This is the way I think, people like us learn, like, all right, well, either it'll work or it won't work, and if it works, then you can bring that back to your teams, right, and be like, hey, by the way, there's a solution here, or maybe someone else was trying to figure something out as well who's watching. So yeah. So should we just walk through the CI or the pipeline, I guess?
Would you like to, or shall I do that?
I can do that. Sure. So let me I guess I'm still trying to connect to this thing. The other live stream. So you gave me a link, but it doesn't seem to want to. Let me try one more time. I'm going to quit, but
you're always able to just open it up and share your screen if that makes life easier.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have, oh yeah, I guess, yeah. I didn't download the code. But I really like to get this stream going. Let me try one more time. Install it, but can't join manually. Join manually. Here we go. Let's try this one. All right. So yeah, this stuff is like, ugh. I had it working and then it just started collapsing on me. So I'll try one more time. But yeah, so at the end of the day, what we're going to show you here is basically the config file. So let's start at the top there. So with CircleCI, the way that this works is as far as CircleCI and your code, right? So let's talk about how that needs to, how that connection is made. With CircleCI, you know, you would have a repo on GitHub or Bitbucket on a version control system. And the CircleCI platform knows how to communicate, right, with GitHub and Bitbucket and version control systems. And we do that through a series of you know, webhooks or you know, callbacks to these version control platforms. And with CircleCI, basically, what we're offering you is automation, right? And the ability to run your code and compile your code and even deploy it, right? So it's a form of compute. But the way that it works is you don't get, you know, well, not necessarily direct SSH access. The way that you know, manage that automation is through this YAML file. Which is basically what we call a CircleCI configuring is your pipeline and how you want things, you know, to execute and also orchestrate that execution. So what I mean by that is this concept of, in CircleCI, you have a concept of jobs. As you can see that list there where it says jobs, right? And that's basically in YAML is a list of jobs that you would define. So the first line under jobs there says build and test, right? That is just a label for a specific job so that you can identify it. So it's almost like an identifier for that specific grouping of commands. So in CircleCI, you have this concept of jobs, right? So those are a grouping of commands or things you want to execute within your that specific job, right? So when you have a job, you have to run this code somewhere, right? And what we define that as is a runtime, or an executor is how we call that in CircleCI. And you have to tell it, right? So there's 4 types. We have Docker, which is the one we're going to be using today, and where it says Docker there in that key. That could also be Mac OS, which is for our, you know, developers who are doing any Mac type development, iOS or mobile apps, right? Then you have another key or an executor called a machine. And what that is basically you get the full-blown underlying host, right? So maybe a Docker container is not enough. It's just not enough for you to get your stuff done in. Or maybe you have other processes because since, you know, Docker is a single process type system, you want to run, you know, multiple processes. You just need more horsepower. So you would use a machine, which is, again, gives you like the full benefits of just, you know, going into a shell, into a server and utilizing that compute for your work or for your pipeline or your job. And then we have the final one that we recently, well, yeah, it's been a few months now, but we recently added, the more recent offering is the Windows Executor. So now we have basically all the primary or major operating systems supported in CircleCI's Executor kind of, I guess, fleet, right? So when we're going through this config, we've defined our executor as Docker. And when you have a Docker defined, you obviously have to give it an image, right? So the way Docker works is there's a template for the actual system, and then it's called an image, a Docker image, and then you spawn an instance of that image, right, as a container, and that's where you get that kind of full connection, right? So your image is kind of your parent class, and then your container is a spawn of this image, which is basically a pre-baked, right, kind of solution. So what I mean by that is like this logs.io, a Docker container or image, is basically what Logzio has put together. So that makes it easier to package up their applications and share them with the community, right? So developers don't need to bother with like, oh, I'm going to start installing this. All the dependencies are there. It's kind of a nice little pretty wrapped piece of software that you can just deploy to the Docker runtime, which, by the way, runs on pretty much every platform today, right? So now you have the ability to just write your code, package it up into a Docker image, and then share that image. So in the Docker container that we're using, we have to define two environment variables, which is a Logzio token. So I'm assuming that just basically is a access token that has to be utilized to call back to the Logzio platform, and then leverage that system. So if you're a logs.io customer or user, that's basically what is required by this container for you to run, the Docker or the Logzio system in a Docker container. So one of the challenges that we're having though with this solution is, and Mike, we can talk about it together, is since it is a Docker container, we have to run our application and the Logzio software in the same container, and that's kind of where we're trying to figure out how to get this to run together. We were trying to do what we call Sidecar, which is where you would connect two containers together in the pipeline and do this. But unfortunately, the software, it requires the Logzio container has to be embedded in the same container as the application, which makes sense, right? So you're trying to measure an application, so you need to run that application in the same processes, right? So these observability tools can connect to those processes and retrieve that telemetry. So that's problem number one that we're going to tackle. And we've started down this road already a little bit. Mike's done quite a bit of work, which is why you would see in the steps key there. So with the steps key, and Mike, I think I'm connected now. So if we want, I can share my screen and just walk through this real quick.
Go for it.
Yeah, let me do that. So it's a little cleaner. And yeah, all right, let me jump in here and share my screen. So we're at the steps key. I'll just share my screen and turn off all the notifications so no one sees the weird stuff that pops up every now and then. All righty. So here we go. Let's try this. Is that doing okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Nice. Okay. So let me zoom in a little more. Is that good? One more time. All right. I think that's enough. Okay. So I was in the steps region here. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, by the way, Mike and I are using Visual Studio Code, and they have this live sharing feature here. That's pretty cool. You can basically share your desktop, like if you were using like Google Docs or something, similar type of concept within the code. So if you're doing like this is this considered paired programming, Mike?
I would not want to do this as actual pair programming.
Right. So anyway, so if you wanted to use that tool, but it's a free, I believe it's even open source, so by Microsoft. you could do that, right? And you can leverage it to again, maybe you have some coworkers that you need to do work with. Anyway, we're going to use this today for this stream. So yeah, with the steps key here, like I said, we have to install we're using the logs container. It doesn't have Node on it. It doesn't have any of the tools, right? Because it's designed to run more so on a host that has if you run it on a system like a Jenkins or something, you would obviously be running your own kind of infrastructure, right? Which is in Circle. That's another benefit of Circle is you're running your infrastructure in the cloud. So the idea there is, as developers, right, you're not interested, most developers are not interested in standing up servers, maintaining servers, right, making sure that the CI systems are up to date and secure and all that good stuff. With CircleCI, we offer all of that, right? We take care of all the hard bits for you, and all you have to worry about is writing your code, committing it, and pushing it upstream, right? And that's
Angel,
how. Yes.
do you mind giving it a couple more taps on the zoom in? It turns out it's I've just opened up Twitch myself just to have a look, and it's like, oh, that is a bit tiny.
Okay, how about now?
It's much better. Thank you.
All right, no worries. Yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, so with CircleCI, the infrastructure is pretty much we that's what you pay for, right? You pay us to manage that infrastructure, and then we give you this YAML to configure all of that and make your lives a lot easier, right? System administrators and operators love us because they don't have to worry about maintaining the CI systems, right? So when they go down, there's a problem, right? Pretty much all their developers are pretty much twiddling their thumbs and held up by the down outage systems, right? The CI systems. And also the other benefit that you get from running it in the cloud like this is provisioning or scale, right? So if you have if you're managing your own kind of self-hosted CI/CD systems, once you kind of outgrow that system, you have to add more hardware, you have to add more virtual machines, you have to add a lot of other things. Whereas CircleCI, we just do that for you automatically, right? And you just pay for what you use. Anyway, just wanted to explain a little bit about what's going on here with this particular instance, since we're doing it in a Docker container. Now the steps here pretty much are, again, the commands, right, that you want to execute against your code. So the first thing we need to do with the logs.io is they have this, their container has already the software built in, and what we're doing here is just changing the directory and going into the logs.io directory in the container, and then executing this this command, this Python script, which is basically the and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. It's your metrics service, right? That stands up and then keeps an eye on what's going on with the system. Is that right?
Kind of. So it's using Metric Beat under the hood, as you can see in the name. So Metric Beat is the open source component from the ELK stack for recording metrics. So inside of the Docker container, we build and configure the Metric Beat, and normally you'd be executing this and it'd read out from the host system, but due to the magic of what we've been doing, it's now reading out into the container itself.
Right. Yeah, because we couldn't get it to stand just by starting the container. Normally you would just start this container and it would, it knows to kick this thing off. But because we are it's intertwined with Node and CircleCI, the CircleCI platform's overriding the generic or the default behavior. So yeah, now that we just wanted to explain, I just wanted to explain why this was here. Because this is not normal, by the way, right? You wouldn't be doing this normally in a normal context. So the next step here, obviously, right, we're going to install some tools that we need. We're installing Git because obviously we're going to check out some code later on down the road, right, from GitHub. So the next step here is we need to install Node. Like I said, this was designed to be the container is designed to be just a logs.io metrics system. So we're going to be running our Node app from within this container. and that's why we've installed manually had to install these, which is fine. It's just an install, it's a step inside of our pipeline. And then, of course, this is the alias here for when we're checking out the source code. So, like I said, CircleCI will kick this configuration file off, or you can even call it a pipeline off when there's an event, right? And in this case, the event is a push upstream to a branch on GitHub. So CircleCI is constantly monitoring the GitHub repos, right, that you've allocated. So in this case, it's the Logzio webhook to report. So that repo is connected to CircleCI. CircleCI will again text any kind of push upstream or commit to the GitHub platform. This checkout command will be executed. And by the way, all this really is behind the scenes is an alias for a Git clone, right? And then there's some other wrapper type functionality that CircleCI has to kind of make sure that the container itself has Git, right? That was why we had to install Git right here. And there's just some kind of housekeeping kind of functionality. And once that happens, your code is now cloned or downloaded into the container, and then you can run your normal operations, right? So first thing you want to do is install all the dependencies that your project requires, which if you look over here, right, we have somewhere around here, package.json. So it'll install, just like normal if you were doing this on your local machine, right? Same thing. And that's what it's doing, is just installing the dependencies. And then, so I haven't used the npm linting system. So would you like to talk about that a little bit, Mike?
That's actually just a node alias. So in the package file, with node, you can define the script section. And to save having to make the Circle config so messy, I opted for putting them in the package file, because the thing there is I can also nest them. So
let's take a look at that. I'm curious. I haven't seen. I'm not a big Node.js person, so would that be? You can control this, Mike, right? Like
I should be able to. Because I can see your cursor. There we go. We can see me now. So normally, with JavaScript, there is a whole bunch of linters: Prettier, ESLint, etc. The usual standard is ESLint. So I define what the ESLint is looking for. So this one is saying everything in the entire project, look through it, but only bother analyzing anything that's JavaScript, JSX, TS, and TSX. So this application is actually built in TypeScript rather than JavaScript, just because I kind of like having types these days. It's not a thing I used to admit to.
Well, yeah, JavaScript has made some huge advancements, and I remember back in the day, it's like sometimes hit or miss with some of the returns.
Very cowboy, very
especially with numbers. Numbers is like a real pain in the butt. Has that gotten any better?
Yes, there is an actual number interface and typing, etc. So you can actually treat numbers as numbers. The only problem is ridiculously large numbers. It has problems with, same as MySQL and pretty much every language.
Yeah,
every higher level language. You said low level. I'd get all the C people say, no, we can compute X millionth decimal places.
I think you're safe. There's no C people watching this.
Yes.
Not yet, anyway.
But with the Circle config, it's hard to nest all the different levels for JavaScript, because there's all different little build tools for it. It gets a little messy, as we can see, with having to install the tools. So if I bury them inside the package file, I can do things like this lint CI, which is essentially running the same ESLint as above, but giving it some additional options, including where to put an output file and what format to record it in. So one of the things I wanted to do with the project is actually record the ESLint outputs as log commands to be ingested into Logzio. So we actually have logs as well as metrics to review as part of our builds, which means to simplify life, because logs, every logging tool on the planet, especially the ELK stack, likes having Unix single line entities. You can do multi-line, but the preferred option is the ELK stack is designed to just read any form of single line log. As long as it can be streamed or tailed, it'll process it. So converting to a Unix line just means it's easier to consume.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when I used to work in mainframes in the 90s. Yeah, there was like 86 character limitations. The very reason, and now, with the way that we, there's so much data now that everything used to be so parsed, right? So very condensed and terse. Now it's like whatever, memory's cheap, storage is cheap, processors are now they're cheaper, right, than they were back then. So it's amazing the amount of data that's like just being collected even in logs. So that's cool.
Yeah, if you talk about that, it's I was recently on a call with one of the solution architects just to find out how much data actually gets shipped around, and it's like, most people send a few megabytes like every couple of hours, and it's so what's the biggest? About 3/4 of a terabyte an hour.
Wow!
Pardon?
There was I sat in on a talk a couple years ago from Netflix, one of their like big engineers. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was saying that with the when the streaming service kind of got into full swing and they stopped doing the CD bits, or at least that got kind of less and more people were adopting streaming. They're collecting they're saying it's about 25 gigabytes of data per day off of an account. So they're measuring a ton of things, right? Like there's a lot going on there. And that's just per account. So I don't even know how they're doing that if you're not watching. I'm sure there's streams involved in that, right? Like, so if you're streaming something, but on average, or I don't know if it's on average, but anyway, he was saying that they had they're a big user of Amazon, and they have their own billing clusters in Amazon. Like, I forget how many, it was huge. And this was like 5 years ago. So imagine today it's even bigger, right? Like they literally have their own kind of infrastructure for billing for Netflix at Amazon, which is pretty amazing.
That's utterly bonkers, but that does explain why my recommendations are pretty on point.
Right. Cool. So I think we covered the linting piece. Do you mind if we jump back over to to this? But actually, that was pretty cool because and I guess these tie into it too, right? So
it's exactly the same. It's just instead of it being ESLint, that's running the test runner. So I'm using Jest in this project. There's all sorts of ones like Mocha, Chai, etc.
Right. Okay. Got you. So so the next step is so these were all kind of setting up again the application dependencies, then running I guess you're instantiating the linter, right, at this point, and then from here again is that part of this next step here, the Jest or the JUnit? Is this J?
That's no, it's not. But what I am doing is it's the Jest test framework, but I'm also getting it has the option for multiple reporter types, like most test runners do these days.
Right.
And luckily, somebody built a wonderful plugin called Jest JUnit, which allows me to dump out a JUnit example, which I can then use in the test artifacts within Circle.
Oh, nice. So, so once you get that up and running, right, then we're going to go ahead and crash this baby, I guess, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
I'll let you explain this one, and let me just close this up a little bit here so you can see it a little better. Or let me zoom out one bit.
Okay, so this bit specifically, that's just a nice little So npm run build, just a little wrapper for essentially running the TypeScript transpiler. That is happily just converting the TypeScript into JavaScript. That's because I wanted to be able to run a standard node process and then run what I have horribly named the memory hog. Which is just the memory hog is really, really simple. It's just a function that, depending on the size of the integer you give it, inserts that number of records into an in-memory database called NEDB. So I think I'm using UUID and a date stamp just to force force uniqueness, so it doesn't go, this record already exists, don't bother writing another one. So we are just creating a whole bunch of stuff in there to essentially slurp up some memory, so when we are running the metrics, we can get this nice report back into our Grafana dashboard going, here is your spike. And that way we can use that little integer value to tune it so we can get a little bit more, or full crash it, or like just so. We were talking a while ago about the principle, like most people don't think about capacity planning.
That's right.
How much machine they actually require to begin with. Now, most people, when they are doing capacity planning or they're attempting to do it, they do it under the principle of, given X resource, we will use up to 70, 80, 90% of it before we freak out and bolt on another one. And we were talking about, like, well, we can replicate that and prove that. So you can do some testing and say, maybe you need to provision a larger VM for your Docker instance, something with more cores to be able to handle the job, etc.
Yeah, when I was managing, resources in the government and different organizations, and this was, again, before we had like legit, systems like this that could give you very good details on what's going on. Things like storage, we didn't even know, right? We would just say, all right, we've got this hot new server, lots of storage. Let's put a threshold of like, we want to get an alert at 65%. Like, hey, we're at 65% capacity. And that could, it probably took us about a year to get there. And then, at that point, the process was, all right, 65%. Let's start talking to procurement about getting a new, right, expensive SAN, storage area network, or access network, storage area network. And these things were like, they were like on par with a Ferrari, like $250K, easy. And yeah, so that was kind of like really, and then, by the way, we would always over provision, and that stuff would just be sitting there, right? Spending money, actually wasting money, because, it costs money to buy switches, network allocations for networking, fiber. Then you had to install, then electricity on top of that, right? So keep that stuff powered on. Then you had to house it in a data center. So, right, all those other associated costs, but that was just for us to scale. And again, this was pre-cloud and Amazon and Google and Azure and all that stuff. Having the ability to again get very detailed information about what's going on in your systems can help dramatically, right, reduce all those costs, and helps with also allocation of resources. And I'm not talking about just physical. I'm also talking about in the cloud, right? I can tell you that I know of many organizations that just over provision, and they waste millions per month, just, having that like what we call a warm environment ready just in case.
Yeah. In my previous employment, we were an e-commerce platform, quite a large proportion of our business. And we'd always have on standby X number of machines.
Right.
However, that also had the downside of we were never quite ready for when there was a spike, because we had no idea how to synthetically stimulate one of those in advance.
Right.
Which is that's an interesting concept. Is how can you synthesize real world behavior to adapt before you've even deployed it?
Yeah, so I was in the military, and we used to do a lot of contingency type exercises, right? Like, so I was working in Space Command, so you could imagine the variety of different exercises we would go through. My particular, I guess, AFSC or specialty was in launch operations. So I was working during the space shuttle programs, right, launching and during launch operations on Cape Canaveral. So yeah, there was always, right, like all the way up until launch, even after launch, right? I've sat on scope, and I believe I had 3 anomalies where the missile literally had to be, destroyed, or it destroyed itself in 2 cases because it went errant. So yeah, imagine, right? And that's not a good feeling. I can tell you, the whole team, right? So this just doesn't happen with like 10 people. There's thousands of people involved, and it hurts. It's like a gut punch for like the whole area, right? Like people are like, "What just happened?" But yeah, so planning, right, is always is always difficult. But I think you can leverage some of those practices, right? So like this isn't new when you need to scale up, for things and react, right? But I think with the usage of like analytical tools like AI and pattern kind of predictions, right? You can get pretty, I wouldn't say pretty accurate, but I guess very accurate these days. But again, who only even the big companies don't have. Or they have the resources to like maintain that, but a startup, right? Like, how do you compete with something like that? And I think the answer is you don't. You just have to kind of grow into that kind of position. Yeah.
I 100% agree. There's a lot of small businesses and organizations, or even just freelancer devs, hoping for that one thing that goes completely viral and they get huge. Something like this would give them a rough idea. So people normally running on, say, virtual machines, but small scale, non-auto scale optimized. So older DigitalOcean droplets or similar artifacts. What is it? What's the AWS equivalent to DigitalOcean? I've forgotten.
Fargate?
No, that's
Sail, something Sails.
Lighttail.
Lighttail, there you go.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
that.
just designed to be a really simple VM that you stand up and treat as a server. So you can't actually do anything with the capacity. So being able to throw stuff at it during your test cycle and go, oh nuts, the 4-core 8 gig VM we have is not going to handle doing neural network design and processing in under 6 hours.
Yeah, right, exactly. Nice. Well, I think we kind of got sidetracked here. Let's get to hacking, man. Yeah. So I'm just gonna finish off this config real quick in its current state, and then we'll build on that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds absolutely perfect.
Right, cool. So right, so this is going to be basically the test that basically like a performance test that we're going to engage the system on. And so that right there is just one job, right? Sometimes you can have multiple jobs, which let me share, I guess, a little bit of what I have. I don't know if people can see that. I can plus it up a little bit. But basically what this is a configuration file that I use in a demo application. This also is a Node application. But as you can see here, I only wanted to show you that we have lots of jobs here, right? And what this pipeline does is it runs some unit tests, right? It also builds a Docker image for that application once the tests are run and clean and green. And then I create a GK cluster. This is part of what I call a smoke test kind of situation. So that's what I was talking about earlier was, when you can package up your application, deploy it to a real live Kubernetes cluster or whatever target environment you're going to deploy to, and then actually run some tests on it. and then destroy all of that infrastructure, that just gives you a lot more confidence in the application, right? So your team knows, hey, this Docker container in this application ran nominally as expected inside of a live Kubernetes cluster, GKE cluster, whatever you're targeting. So that's one of the reasons why I just wanted to show you that with CircleCI, we just have one job right now because we're just hacking around. But in general, most people have multiple jobs doing multiple things, right? And then I wanted to also just show you the workflow piece, which was the last bit that we were going to talk about, and then we're going to start hacking. So let me just jump over to this one. This isn't it. Sorry. Here we go. Code. All right. So then I showed you the jobs, right? So the jobs is just a collection of actions or commands that need to be executed on the code. In this case, our workflows. Workflows are a way for the users or developers to orchestrate how those jobs are going to interact with each other, right? So think of workflows as, again, like an orchestrator. So you can say like, hey, run this job first. And then you can also do things like what we have here. So let's talk about workflows. We have a workflow called build and test, right? Which is basically just a label for this particular workflow. You could have multiple workflows running inside of a pipeline. So that's a little bit more advanced for folks who have a lot of probably bigger code bases that need to do a lot of different testing. One of the cool things about CircleCI is we are also all about concurrency, right? So in order to get things done faster, you need to get things done simultaneously, right? It's just like any other type of computing, right? If you think of concurrency as CPU processors, right? Your CPU processor itself, right, has probably I don't know, I think my computer has 8 cores. So that means you can basically do 8 different things at the same time, right? Run 8 different processes. Back in the day, we only had single core. I remember when dual core came out, that was like the biggest thing. But yeah, we're getting into like really cool areas now where there's even more cores. But at the end of the day, think of workflows as like a core, right? Or not a core, but an orchestrator of your cores, right? So what we have here is just one workflow, which is fine. And then you have the jobs. So what we defined up here was one job, right? Which is the build and test as well. And what we're saying here is we want you to run in this workflow, build and test. We want you to run the job build and test, right? And then we have not written. Have you written the release job yet, or no? Is that?
Yes, I have. No, I did, but we removed it.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah, okay.
we're using the release is just a hold, waiting for the Heroku step. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. So, all right, that's right. Sorry about that. So this here is a job, right? That it's kind of I don't want to say, I guess it's like a placeholder. So the reason why this is here and not listed up here is because this is of a type approval. So you could have a job that has a type, right? And this one is of an approval type. What this is like, let's say when build and test starts and finishes, the next one is going to be a release type. So what that's going to do is it's going to say, put a hold on the pipeline, right? It will not complete until someone goes in and actually goes into the dashboard and clicks a button to continue that pipeline. So think of it as like a manual approval process is what we call it. And again, right, so because you're in the workflows, you're orchestrating how these jobs interact with each other, right? You're going to set a require statement. What this means is this release job, right, is dependent on this one finishing. So that's how you would tie it together, right? So, and that's where you put the hold. So once this finishes, it goes into the release job, and then it stops. It's put on hold until someone goes in and into the CircleCI dashboard and clicks it. We have an example of it. We'll show it once we continue hacking. And then this one here, we have not yet defined, or he had it defined, but we took it out because we're going to build it. Is that right, Mike?
You know what? I don't know. We took it out because I was completely confused why I couldn't get the metrics to work. We were removing all of the orbs because of, to put it brutally honestly, my silliness in understanding how the single job processing in Circle worked.
Yeah, no worries, but we'll figure it out. So we may get to this or not, but I think the whole point is if we can get some telemetry pumping back into logs, I think that's a win. And then maybe take a look at what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to cover, workflows, the whole config. So I'm going to, if you're ready, Mike, I'll put your screen back on and let you drive.
This is the point where I realize I can't type.
That's all right. I'm in the same boat, buddy.
I definitely need to zoom in. Right.
Yeah, keep going. All right, that's good. That should be good if you can. I know.
I think I can see that from space.
These streams are the worst because of that situation. But, it's not too bad on Twitch. That's good. Where you got it?
Cool. Thank you very much for checking. Right. So, as before, over the course of the day, because of the fact that I was having so much trouble, Angel's been helping me try and debug why and what and where. Normally, this Docker collector, metrics collector, sits as a separate container alongside something else. So you normally have a Node container, a Postgres container, a few other things that build up your application. And then this one would sit outside of it and read off the metrics directly from the Docker host. So actually, do I have an example? Do I have the Docker file for that still?
I think you had it up earlier, yeah.
I sensibly, after a hint from Just Rose, I remembered to not use my normal window just in case I accidentally go onto one of the worked links by mistake. Hence the reason I have a different account for.
It's all good.
There we go. Let's go into the packages.
While you look for that, I think we have like 5 people watching at least. Excuse me, on Twitch. If you're one of the 5, say something so we can test our. We're using this product called StreamYard to stream.
I believe somebody I know from the Birmingham Texting, Dan Noons, is on there. He's welcome to ask any questions. He's one of the smartest people I know in the city, so he's probably got something to say. There we go. Metrics collector. Here we go. So normally when this thing is executing, you would be mounting the socket to the volume. So that means the Docker client can read the socket of the Docker host and process it through metric beat. So internally, this Docker file is literally just building out the metric beat system and firing through. That caused a problem with how we wanted to use it, because turns out the sidecar approach that Angel was suggesting doesn't work when you can't talk to the host.
Right. We had to mount something, right?
I had to skip past that part. So what instead we did was, as I just already explained, kind of just inject everything inside of the metrics collector to just do the work inside of the that image. As we said before, this is how you learn, not how you throw stuff in production.
Yeah, for sure.
However, I'm happy to say I am like everybody else. I think in the past I would have shipped this to production till somebody told me not to.
Well, that's how we learn, right? Like, I mean, we have this. We have to make our mistakes and then learn from them and iterate over that, right? That's we also. You have to throw it. It's everybody gets one big mistake. Let's just hope it stays to one big one, eh? Nah, you gotta have more than one. I mean, I could go on and on.
Uh,
That's just that's just in technology. Imagine outside of tech, right? Like real life mistakes.
oh, don't want to think of those. It's way too real. Right, where were we? Oh, hello. It's working again. Thank goodness.
Yay.
Dashboards, home. Or it was working.
No.
Right. No, I know why that is. That is still running an old session. So
Okay, let's get rid of those.
I love tokens, etc. They get all the fun of the fair. Metrics, and if it comes up with a little red box, that means it's there we go. Last 12 hours, refresh. And we can see this is where we were experimenting earlier. It did actually throw that data in.
Yeah. Nice.
So we have a set of metrics. The problem is I think I may have balked it. So I'm going to need to go to my Circle instance.
Nice.
There we go. Projects.
Yeah. What Mike is doing here is going into the CircleCI dashboard. So as you can see in that list, those are all the jobs that we've been messing around with today, or all the pipeline runs that we've been messing with today. So every one of those builds is a commit push upstream to Docker Hub or to GitHub. And the CircleCI detected the change, which actually, that'd be pretty cool if you could show that as well when you get a chance, how that all works too. When you get to that point, let's go fix the problem first, right? And we can admire the dashboard.
Yeah.
Both of our dashboards.
Yeah. Right. You know what? I'm going to make it so that it throws in some more data. So earlier, I, for the first time in my life, discovered the fact that you can use an empty ampersand to throw to nothing. But I believe that's where it's broke. So I'm just going to turn that back off and get diff just to make sure that we are actually seeing some form of difference. There we go. Git commit. Let's see some data. And yes, I know I'm being a very, very, very naughty developer and developing directly onto master. I should probably make a branch right now so I can just stop making so many horrible mistakes. But okay, if I go back to Circle, so that commit will be over yonder. So that commit has landed here. See, 26 seconds ago, and it was already triggering. Oh, I actually had a Circle window. There we go. So on our master branch, it's now starting that build and test flow.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And this is going through. So that's the initial setting it up. This is where it dumps all your variables in. And this is where it's grabbing and starting to send the metric information. And yeah, it's happened again like earlier, where it is actually grabbing and sending it. It's working. Fantastic.
Nice.
So in theory, it should. There's roughly a 60-second delay because of the way we process things. We have a huge Kafka cluster which is ingesting all these things and then assigning them to the correct dashboards. So there's up to about a 60-second delay between it hitting. It's like everything else that tries to behave in real time. The bigger it gets, the less real time it is.
Right. So you're using pub sub, kind of event-driven capturing, right? And that's what they call streaming now, right? So you're streaming that data from that container in CircleCI's platform to the Logzio, I guess, broker, and he's then feeding, the system. I guess is this Grafana or Elk Stack?
This is Grafana. So it's Grafana on top of Elasticsearch. So it's still using the same underlying data structures that we use everywhere else inside of Logzio.
Right.
Right. God, you gotta love those delays, but let's reduce it down.
Yeah. We can. Why don't we go do something else and then?
There we go. Here we go.
There you go. Nice.
So
awesome.
We have data. Excellent.
We've got data.
If we wanted to, we could actually Scroll down, which would be pointless because we so few data points. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got all that data. We should probably stop that job, shouldn't we?
You could.
Because it's just going to sit there until the job. Yeah, how long is it until a job normally cancels out?
Oh, time's out. I think good question. I don't know, but we do have So yeah, we have issues with. Well, occasionally folks will try to abuse the system to their advantage. I don't want to say what and to give anybody ideas, but yeah. So there are timeouts. I'm not sure what they are, to be fair. So.
Yeah, but it's still long enough that it would be a complete waste of resource to just send that small level of metric data.
Yeah, as long as the system thinks it's doing legit work, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, in that case, unfortunately, it was dumping stuff out to standard in. It would be reading that as valid, response.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we know it works. So it is recording and sending the metric information. Now the problem is, how do we get that right? Just so I can stop telling myself off. Metric recording. There we go. Now I can not feel bad about shipping to master every second. How do we detach that so that it can carry on as a process in the background? Because otherwise it'll just I wonder if it has a verbose quiet mode, or if I can just do would that work? We're just getting it to
that would still exit it, though. It would terminate gracefully, right?
Oh yeah, it wouldn't detach it.
No, it'll stop it.
If anybody in the crowd wants to give an idea on how to detach a Python process without having to use screen, that'd be wonderful.
Let me see if I can do some research. I feel like I've done this before. I just don't remember. It's been a minute. I feel like
everybody's done something like this before, but nobody does it often enough to actually remember.
It's possible, to be fair, but we can try.
Match Python process and detach head mode. Oh, hang on. I just realized, is this our first stream like this at all?
What's that?
Is this the first stream like this?
For CircleCI?
Yeah.
Yes, this is our one.
Oh, I feel privileged to be allowed to actually take part in this.
Yeah, you are our guest number one, numero uno.
Either that, or I'm like the first pancake, the one that you let to go ruin.
Did you find something? I'm still looking too, but
I could go into the script itself and modify it to include the ability to spawn it inside of the script. But that script is inside this container, and that would mean having to make a commit directly against the container. Which, considering this is production grade kit, I don't think that's a good idea. Don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm looking here at entry point.
Hang on, sending it to dev null, would that have the same effect?
If you're sending it, that's just going to send it to the void, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we just want it to stop reporting to the screen so it can move on to the next step.
Hey, so have you tried with it? So I'm looking at here. I'll share this with you real quick. There is some documentation here about multiple services in a container.
Ooh.
It's generally recommended that you separate every concern by one service per container. That service may fork into multiple processes, for example. Yeah, and so that's what I was figuring. But then avoid one container being responsible, blah, 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 blah. You can connect multiple containers using user-defined networks and share volumes. The container's main process is responsible for. So let me share this with you, and we can see if we can hack this thing together. I'm super interested in seeing if we can run. I've generally never run because of this. And anytime I had to do it, yeah, you do the linking. But I'm trying to see here, stopping child product gracefully if you're processing.
We just want to see if it's even
Oh,
plausible.
you can use the init option when you run the container. The init flag inserts a tiny process into the container as the main process and handles reaping of all processes. So how the hell do we do that? Let's see. Oh, I think you. Do we need to run some sort of like initialization script?
That's easy enough because
Yeah.
we're currently just grabbing the container and squirting a whole lot of extra stuff into it.
Right.
We could just put a Docker file, grab that, extend it with the init, and then have the rest of the get node as part of the actual as part of the Docker file instead.
Right.
That may work.
Oh wait, so here's the primary. So here, if you look at scroll, I'll share my screen with you since we're here. I just got to find the StreamYard. Well, actually, you know what? Well, screw it. I'll just move it over here, and then we'll. So basically, I think I found. Can you see now? Let me engage my screen.
There we
go. So if you look here, we do have. I think it's kind of what you were doing, right? Remember this?
Yes.
So I think maybe setting M. So you were on the right track. And then start the helper process. Well, so yeah, you had it.
I was roughly on the right lines about 5 hours ago before it didn't appear to be working. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now we bring the primary process back into the foreground and leave it there. Or is that? Yeah. So you had, yeah.
Okay, so it still requires a Docker file, unfortunately, because we still need to extend the current one. So that would be Docker file. There we go. Where is my window? It's been a while. Docker extend image.
Oh, let me put you back on.
How do we extend this from Docker Elasticsearch Docker file? So if we do Docker, so it's from and
it's your go to the image. Up there you go.
There we go. From that image, there we go, and then we want a little bash scripty thing. So metrics background sh.
That's right.
Now, what is it we got? What is it we need to do in there? Where's that? Where is that wonderful thing? Right
there you go.
There. So grab that. Set the. What does that actually mean? Turn on bash jobs control. Start the main process and put in the background.
Is that running bash though? The container. Yes, because it's Jesse or the it's whatever.
It's the next one up from Jesse.
It should be bash. You should be good to go.
Yeah. Okay, so we'd need to spin it into two processes.
Right.
So this one file actually breaks it out into two. So we want. Okay, so that's actually wrong. Whoops. Oh God, why is naming things so hard? Script wrapper. There we go. So inside of script wrapper, we main process and helper process. Would that main process be the metrics one?
I think. Well, wait. So you want to run tests against that Node app, though, right?
No, because the tests have been. If we follow our thing, we have our normal test to actually see if it works. We just want to forcibly see if it can handle capacity at the end of it.
Oh, okay, then yeah. So, I mean, we can try either way, right? Like, so
yeah,
go with your gut instinct, and then we'll.
To be fair, I also was cheeky and I included a copy of this in the test itself.
Nice.
So if we wanted to, we could do it from the unit tests.
Right.
But because I was just trying to get things working, and I am a bad human who likes to take shortcuts, I put it straight into the Circle file.
It's all good.
Right, so where were we? Dockerfile. I have way too many things in this sidebar. So bash script, metrics, and the explosion. So we're going to need the metric, which new file. Why is it can't see new file when I want it? There we go, new file.
Just do Control N.
Every time I do that, I lose track of where it's going to save it.
Oh, Command N. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I am very, very aware that I can be a very, very silly human being. So we want.
It's all good. It's all good.
Save that, and then we want to extract the where is that command? We want to run extract this bit, don't we? Into that script.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So grab that, and then we want to delete that from there.
Yeah, because you're going to handle that right in the container.
Cool. And I don't need to use the double and. I can just use a new line.
Yes.
And then we have.
I think you forgot to set the M. No,
because that is in the script wrapper. So set enter.
Sorry. Right.
Then we've got that primary job, which is going to set the metrics container in the background.
Right.
And then
you're encapsulating functionality. I got you. No worries.
I'm also trying to not modify the script that looks like it may work the most.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's all good.
And it's good old-fashioned Stack Overflow development. Try and modify as few pieces as possible in the hopes it's not you that broke it.
Yeah. It's all good.
And then explosion.sh. And that would be, where is our circle file? That would be this bit, right?
That is for explosion. That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to stop second guessing myself, but it's way too easy with this.
Honestly, you could even do. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, you want to do that.
And that.
Wait a minute. So if we put this in we have to be careful though, because if we put that in the command entry point, you don't have the dependencies installed yet.
We would do. Oh.
So you might want to take all of those run commands out and just put
them in the Docker file with it.
Yeah.
So we want to grab that bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And
then the first step should be checkout, and then I would kick off that script.
Okay. And oh god, where is the example from? So I can copy and paste the right keywords from Docker because it's been that long.
What are you looking for? The run. Copy or run. Yeah. It's a run command.
Yeah, run, and I need that bit.
You just need to / or you can do backslash and then ampersand in the front of it. Yeah, be good to go.
Would that work?
Yep, that'll work.
And then I can just copy that principle here, right?
That's right.
No, it's great having somebody who knows what they're doing helping me along, because
I was up till 5 a.m. writing Docker in Docker file hell last night, or last night and this morning. So,
I'm sorry, I'm putting you through that again.
No, we're good.
There you go.
That's how you learn. You just got to put those. Don't forget the backslashes and later.
Yes, good. Thank you. I would have totally forgotten because lazy dev. Oops. Is it? We do CMD and then
Well,
the wrap.
it's a bracket. It's it's an array list, and then quotes, right? Separate them out. This should tell you. Yeah, it tells you there, right? See.
Yeah. Now, is that going to be executed from the root or from the project directory?
So you can do you can set the work directory for that specific, So you do a work dir, and then if you look at your old logs, no, it's a key above CMD. Just it's work dir.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you can tell it.
Yeah.
There you go. Then you tell it where you want it to kind of basically start in, and then from there.
Work projects. Is that
Well,
right?
You're kicking off. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, yeah. So it would be work project. That's right.
Oh no, we can just pass it the direct path to it. No, we can't. No, I'm wrong.
No, yeah. So what you want to do is first go up. Work directory goes up into if you go back to you're not showing your editor. So move that all the way to the underneath the from line. So that you've
yeah.
The system. The problem with this though is I'm trying to think. You might want to do a mkdir.
What before?
Yeah.
Not gonna
Lowercase. Oh, it's a run command. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow, can you tell I haven't used much Docker recently? mkdir.
Similar to CircleCI config, right? So it's that's the only reason why I'm in good practice. You need a -p, yeah. You got it.
There we go. That should work, right?
Yes.
Now we need to modify the CircleCI file, and I am completely at a loss for remembering how to do this.
Well, we're just gonna so the container will start. The first step would be check out code, right?
Don't we want to use our Docker image instead of our Docker file rather than the existing Docker image?
Yeah, you're gonna have to build a Docker. You're gonna have to publish that to Docker Hub.
Oof. Oh, we're gonna have to take this and publish it first.
Yeah, but that's okay. I think we should just see if it works locally before you even do any of that, right? Like
Docker run. No, it's Docker build, isn't it? Just to see if it actually works.
Yeah. Well, first you would need to also push the project code in. So you had to do a copy command.
Yeah. Where would one do this? What line?
Under run, you can do a copy command. Actually, I'm sorry. Under work directory, I would do. Yeah. Well, I guess it would have worked either way. But yeah, copy, and the thing is just ... right? So if you run this from the root of your project, you just copy everything in for now and then.
Or ...
No, I think you have to put a space in between them. Yeah.
Do we see if this builds and see what goes bang?
Yeah, why not? Sure. Oh wait, did you change mod X, make them executable?
The Docker file.
The scripts you wrote.
Oh no,
you gotta chmod them. Change mod.
Oh,
chmod plus x, and then the file name.
explosion, metrics, and
You can do both of them at the same time.
yeah, there we go. Script wrapper.
Yeah.
There we go.
And just do a quick ls to make sure that.
Whoops! Too late. It's already building.
Oh, you didn't even name it. Well, eventually we're gonna have to name it, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to see if it actually built and didn't blow up.
Yeah, no worries.
Because
that was legit. What you did was legit.
Oh!
Yeah.
Is it doing the rest of it?
Yeah.
Holy moly! This isn't blowing up in my face, which I thought it would. Still installing.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute.
You know what? You know all those wonderful demos that you see of people running standing up huge Kubernetes clusters in minutes.
Yeah, that's the ones I just showed you.
I swear to God, they're black magic because it never seems to be that fast when I try doing it for me.
Oh, on live streams, they probably use yeah, when you're using a cloud provider, especially with Kubernetes, like managed like that, yeah, it takes a long time for. But I if you're doing GK, like GK is the easiest and fastest of all those that I've encountered so far. So if you're ever using, I like to demo on Google's platform primarily when I'm doing Kubernetes because it's just really quick. Compared to all the other ones, it feels clunky and disjointed. Whereas Google, obviously, since they're the ones who kind of sponsored that project initially, or it came out of their home.
Oh, this is it. It's built. It didn't.
Yeah, it's done. Mm-hmm.
Right, so that would be Docker run name. Docker metrics hacky node.
Wait, you got to do Docker. You didn't give the image a name, so now you have to. You got to. I would just rebuild it. Do a Docker build, right? And then whatever. Do you have a GitHub account or a Docker Hub account?
I do. It's been a while since I've logged in.
That's okay. So what you should do is get your username, and then you could do Docker build -t.
Docker build -t.
Yeah, and then put your username for Docker Hub, and then /.
I am just looking at my password manager to remember what my username is.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so it appears to be the same thing it is everywhere.
And then /. Yep. No, together. Yeah, the / has to, yeah. And then you can give it a name now.
Docker. I'm sticking with the hacky so that people don't try it. They assume it's actually legit.
And then you could put that's good enough. And then you just do a. Let me think about this. Yeah, then you just space and a dot and it looks for the Docker file.
Okay. Enter.
Yeah, that's it. The T is just a tag. So and if you wanted to do so this will be the latest, right? If you wanted to do a version one, then you would just do another T tag and then name it, how you want.
Okay. So it's just like Git tagging, oddly enough.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, right? And then right. So yeah, I did a live stream with Rosemary from HashiCorp the other day, and our container was not coming across. We're like, what the hell's going on? And then I said, oh wait, yeah, we're pushing. When we're pushing, you should just push the latest, and then all those other tags will come along with it, right? Automatically.
Execute, job, build, and test. I freaking love this tool. I love the fact that is it built on Picard or something? It used to be called.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the CircleCI
What?
piece. Well, the thing is with CircleCI tool though, yeah, you have to. It has to live in Docker Hub. It's gonna check for
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I would just go ahead and can you just run it locally though, the container?
Uh.
Oh, right, because you're kicking off the.
Yeah. So Docker. Ah, no, actually, because I should be able to just do Docker pull, shouldn't I?
No, you have to push it up first.
Oh, have I not pushed it? Oh no, I've just tagged it. I haven't actually pushed it.
Yeah, you just built it locally. Now you have to do Docker. Well, first you have to do a Docker login. Here, I'll send you the. I have the stuff here.
I've just done the login. That's fine because I've already got my creds. So then
Oh,
it's
okay, yeah. So now you can do Docker push, and then the name of the container or the image, which is your full right /, and that's it. It should.
You, sir, are a fountain of knowledge teaching me all this.
Yeah. So now that'll live in Docker Hub, and then you hopefully should be able to run that specific job in the tool. Yeah.
Okay. Just got to wait until these two wonderful things. Oh, so they're the each of the intermediary containers that have been then smushed together, being thrown up there.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. I mean, but it won't. It doesn't. It shouldn't be that bad. So why don't we look at some maybe the dashboard, the Docker dashboard, or the CircleCI dashboard, and see.
There we go.
Or yeah, you can take a look at so how we're going to the pipeline, right? So what are we doing in that pipeline? In the Visual Studio, I guess look at the pipeline for, because what we're doing is just pushing the image.
Let's shrink that down so we can actually look at the pipeline.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So we need to kind of clean this up a little bit, right? In order for it to, I would say, oh, wait a minute. So you copied the code into the container.
Yeah.
So first, change the container name. Oh, you did that already? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the problem, though, is when that starts, it's going to put you into the working directory. So what we might need to do, I'm trying to think of.
Well, this the checkout step points you to the working directory afterwards, doesn't it? So that should be fine.
Yeah, but no. What it'll do though is, oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Okay. But what I'm saying is, you copied the source code into that container, so we may need to clean that out.
Oh yeah.
That's okay. So you can stop that build, the pushing. Just stop the pushing now, and
there you go.
Comment out that copy file.
This one.
Yeah. Just comment it out for now.
Okay. Do I
run the build again? You have to run the build and then a push.
Do I need to name this one or just run build?
You can go up, arrow up, right? You can use the same command you used earlier. Keep going. There it is. That's the one. It won't take long because the layers are already there, and it's just a small change. So
yeah. Oh, should really extend this so we can actually see what's going on, shouldn't I?
Yeah, it's okay.
There you go. Oh, so it's using all the cached elements, so it's moving up a lot.
Yeah, it knows what to change, right? So that's one of the nice things about Docker is a layered approach. So for every run command that you have there, it creates a layer, right? And same with I believe the working direct, any kind of any of those blue bits in the Docker file will create a new layer. That's why
Okay.
when you chain together certain things, you can group them, and that helps with like speeding that process up, right? So,
and I can just go up to the push step.
yeah, there you go.
And somebody's actually said hi in the chat. So hi, Khan.
Hey, Khan.
I don't know why, but I really want to yell like Shatner style Khan.
You can. Why not?
No, the world is not ready to be that deaf from me screaming at the internet.
That's coming from YouTube, man. That's a nice.
Not all that. It actually works. Nice. Right. Well, let that go in the background. But that should clean the pipeline up a bit, right?
Yeah, we should probably clean that up. So we've got.
We don't need that.
Yeah. I would leave them in there just in case we get like comment them out, for now.
Oh, the amount of senior developers over my time that go, don't comment code, delete it. That's what version control's for.
Well, no, I just leave it for just it's for me it's quicker at the end of the day. But anyway,
yeah.
So
okay. Oh, we do actually still have the Heroku step, and I still have that configured in my Circle CI. So once it's actually passes the build, we can actually approve and ship it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, there we go.
All right, that works. So now we can go up to let's go up to the pipeline and make sure that it's. What am I doing? I have access to this too as well. I'm watching. I forgot that we have the tooling. All right.
Let's shrink that again so we can actually see.
Oh, wow. What is going on here?
Oh, God. What have I done?
What happened here?
It's the moment you go, oh, what's happening here? It's,
no. My code thingy, whatever. It's, yeah, I got it. It's, all right. So I'm just looking at the config.yaml. That you made some changes. This looks so am I still live? I don't know.
I don't know if this is working or not. I can't tell.
If what's working?
This obviously shouldn't be working locally because I haven't fed it these variables. So the Python script should be exploding. But it is.
Yeah, there was some errors down there, I think, no?
Oh. That's a final error. That's one that I'm aware of because I need to give it that variable. But
yeah, okay.
Let's go up to where the Python step is. So it's bringing all the layers down. It's executing. So it brings all the layers. Prepares it. Yeah, this is the point where it should be executing it, and it doesn't put it out to screen. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Does that mean it's going to be doing what I think it's doing?
Which is?
Just because it's happening as a command in the background. Oh, no, I know exactly what we're missing. There's it was saying about requiring the init for it.
Yeah, okay.
When you run the container, the init flag inserts tiny init process into your container as the main process. Run the wrapper command as your command. This is a very naive example. Yes. Okay.
I didn't see it at all in there, though.
Yeah, that's the bit I think we may be running in circles.
Well, it is CircleCI, so
but
appropriate.
Well, I think you just hit peak dad joke there.
Who you calling a dad?
Okay.
Is that is that when you start it, or at the top says at the end? I don't know. That one's kind of sketch. Let's see.
No, I bet you that is
Read it too.
Docker run help. And I bet you dollars to donuts, it's when you actually run the Docker run command.
Yeah, I think, but I think we. Let's see. Handling such process is superior to using full-fledged init. Yeah. When you run, it's saying when you inserts a tiny. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Maybe there's a. Let me take a look and see if there's a way to. I think, and I'm not sure if anybody from CircleCI is watching. How do I manipulate the Docker command?
Yeah. You'd think that there'd be some ways of doing some stuff, purely because a lot of it has to be obviously turned off.
Yeah, there's got to be a way. Configuration references. Let me see here.
Oh.
Oh, you got happy, huh? All right, let's see. Docker. Trying to find the Docker. Docker machine, image.
At the very least, this has given me a grand idea for a proper project for me to do.
Yeah.
Build Metric Beat as a full-fledged, self-contained service to be run on inside of Debian, rather than something build yourself.
Right. Gotcha.
Because then that would solve all the problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Because unfortunately, I don't think Metric Beat exists within the apt-get package manager.
Yeah, and I don't think we can run. Maybe that's why they were running it as a machine instead of the Docker.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand some of the decision choices by the engineering team here now.
You know what we could do? We could leverage the orb and then bring I think we're gonna have to scrap the we might be, but you don't have a metrics in the orb though. That's the problem, right?
No, we don't. We have the logging one. The metric one is so we have where to go. Yeah, we have that CircleCI config. We have this one, which is currently only configured with our log shipping tool. We haven't. The problem is, when you release a new product and you play catch up with all of the tools that come out behind it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So we've only just got around to shipping. I can describe the best way to describe it is actually very visually with our shipping page. So if you went to the CircleCI orb registry, it's full of a load of Circle stuff. Like probably, I think there's over 100 orbs now or something.
Oh, we have there's a bunch. Oh, Mike, I just saw something here.
Yeah.
Where
so we
could leverage the machine and then maybe install Docker on it and then run.
Containerception.
There you go.
Is there a Docker orb?
No, yeah. So no. What I'm saying is, you know how the executor. So here, let me go to the code. I'll just show you what I mean. I haven't used the machines in a while, but we can probably hack it together. We only have we're done at 4, right? Or in a few minutes. But basically, we could leverage. Let's try this. I'm trying to find your code. So instead of this being Docker, we could say machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
There
and
may be
then
an easier.
what's that?
There may be an easier way.
Okay, I'm listening.
There is a CircleCI Docker Orbit version 1.01, which allows you to do builds and checks of the Docker images, which means there's a Docker client. So maybe we could instantiate the two Docker images inside of that.
Oh, in what is that one?
This is the CircleCI Docker 1.01.
Yeah. So look in that. Is there a machine exec? Is it a Docker? Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Why didn't we Google that before?
I don't know. We're too smart for our own good. Yeah.
I'll take that. Okay, so do we want to try the way you were talking about building the Docker machine from source, or do we want to?
I mean, we have a few minutes. I think the orb would probably be the fastest.
Yeah,
we're definitely not going to get the machine up and running in a few minutes.
I'd love to say we could, but probably not.
I'm a realist. I know.
All right, so if we change that to be Executor Docker. What's multiple schemas when one's validated? What?
No. I think we need to do that's an orb, right? So you have to go up top and then grab the orb. Let me find it here.
That's the orb.
What is it called? CircleCI registry. Well, now I understand why they use the machine. The machine executor in the orb for Logzio. And by the way, for those of you that are not familiar with orbs in CircleCI, they're basically parameterized YAML that the system understands. So this helps with being able to kind of package up repeated patterns and then give them the ability to be distinguished with variables. So it's almost like encapsulation. If you're familiar with object-oriented programming, kind of similar to that concept where you're encapsulating functionality and patterns into a wrap, right? So you're wrapping all that functionality up into kind of like a class system. And if you go to CircleCI orb registry, there's a bunch of like prepackaged configuration that makes your life a little easier. So when you're trying to build pipelines and you want to use tools like Logzio, they have their own orb that you could implement into your pipelines. So it's almost like I've heard people say it's like NPM, but for configuration. So yeah, it's a package management system. By the way, you could build your own too, right? So if you're a developer and you see you need some functionality like this, you could actually build an orb to provide that functionality. But what we're doing is we're going to leverage, what was it called? Docker, right?
Yeah. However, we may not be able to whilst you've been going in the background. I have seen that the integration team, your integration team has been smart and possibly hidden the Docker run command. So they've made it so it can build, test, and analyze Docker images.
So you can't hack it. So yeah, gotcha.
Oh, cheeky, clever people.
Well, but it's a machine, so you should be able to shush in and put a script in there, maybe. I don't know.
Do orbs work with the local tool?
Custom registry, Hadolint, install Docker tools.
Yeah.
Quickly install Docker Compose, Dockerize. Lifecycle hooks. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been clever. They knew somebody was going to try doing this.
Yeah.
Can you blame them for being ready for it?
Oh no. Like I said, it's. Yeah, I see. Okay.
I think we've highlighted this a few times. This is not how you do it in reality.
No.
Okay, so Docker, which means I could hide that, but would that mean I can do run Docker run and then?
Well, you would be able to do that if you had a machine. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm saying. I think we need to have our own kind of VM. That's the machine one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I am going down the rabbit hole.
There is, if you look, there's at the last of the parameters, there's one called machine. And
where be this?
That has yeah, and then you have the Ubuntu. So it's a CircleCI's Ubuntu-based machine executor VM. And then you can execute the image. I'm not sure if it has a run command though. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Right. Yeah. So the way to do this would be use a full-blown machine, install that the metrics beat into the machine, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Because then you would have, you would have more processes, right? To be able to, the threads to do what you need to do. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
All stuff that would be, it's like hindsight. It'd be great to know that when we start, but you only find out when you're halfway down the rabbit hole.
Well, you know what, Mike? Maybe we'll do another one of these things. Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't be against that. I'm just like, I haven't actually been as productive with you as I was hoping. I was hoping I was going to be able to share with you more information. Instead, we proved that we can get information from Circle to Logzio, but I wanted to get back to that end of the life cycle so we can actually do something meaningful within Circle with it.
Yeah. 2 hours, man. You know how this goes. This is 2 hours is always never enough. Like what I've seen, so far. And I don't really play with the machine types that much either. So like, I'm primarily using Docker or the Mac OS stuff occasionally, but primarily Docker. That's my go-to. Everything's just packaged up real nice. Yeah.
It's nice to know we were both a little out of our depth.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, but like we can take a look since we're coming up on the 2 hour mark. What we could do is put a pin in it soon, and then look at maybe doing a machine. And maybe we can even bring somebody from CircleCI in to help get us where we need to be.
I would like to point out something though. The one thing we touched on like a few times but didn't actually get to.
Yeah.
The actual completed pipeline.
Yeah. Let's end on a good note.
Just before Angel was awake, actually, I think I just about got it so the full system was working. So from beginning to end, it built and did the tests before it tried monkeying around inside of it. So we have the builds and tests, which we've seen all over the shop. These are actually the ESLint tests as artifacts, which is useful. I do love that about Circle. So this is the actual steps when it was a lot more complicated before we slammed it down. We're extracting log information and sending that over to Logzio. But more importantly, we had, the release step, and I'd approved it. And that meant we could do the Heroku deployment. So the Heroku, this is a Heroku. Is this a Heroku orb or one that's built by Circle? I think it's a Heroku one.
I don't know. Good. I can find out. I mean, I look on the registry, and
it's a Circle one. It's a Circle Heroku one.
Yeah, that means we built it and maintain it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so this is our team. Our team builds anything with Circle in front of it as the account name. Then that's us. Yeah, that's a company. So there's three different orbs, types of orbs. So one is what we call certified, which is basically we built it, we maintain it, the company CircleCI. And then there's partner orbs like Logzio. You build and maintain your own, right? Because you're the experts of your software.
Yep.
And then and we have an agreement with your company. And then there is what we call like the community orbs, which are basically an open sourced. By the way, all of the orbs are open sourced all the time. But basically, that's just stuff built by the community for the community or for themselves, right? And again, it's another way for our users to build meaningful functionality that will help their pipelines be more consistent and also easily maintained, as well as hopefully efficient and optimized, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool system. I use them when I can. Sometimes, they're not they're a little bit restrictive, but for the most part, even if it is a little restrictive, you can go into the source and see how like a partner is actually doing things, and then mimic that in a Docker file of your own, or in whatever kind of script you like.
Yeah. Oh.
So we are at the 2-minute or the 2-hour mark. So I think unfortunately we didn't get to, but we did. But you know what? You got some data out of it, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the first step. You also ran it. But I think we just need to have a different approach. And maybe in a few weeks we can schedule another one, Mike, and have you back and then play some more with it. And I'll see if I can get some of my CircleCI compadres over there to come and join us to see if they can hack some stuff with us, right? But yeah, it was fun, hanging out with you and having you for the inaugural CircleCI. This is my first stream, like solo, I guess. So yeah, it was fun, man. And thank you for staying up late. I know you're in the UK, and I'm on Eastern time, so you're 5, so it's like 9 o'clock probably over there, right?
It's 9. It's fine. That's what cups full of tea are for, to keep you functional.
Yeah, but no. So thank you so much, Mike. And yeah, this won't be the last. We'll have you back. We'll do some more. We'll do some more hacking together. I really enjoyed it. And by the way, I've done tons and tons of hackathons in my life, like over 200 and something. I lost count, but I know it's up there in the 200 range. So this is fun, and I appreciate you showing me a little bit about Logzio and how that works, because I have not had any experience like deploying things, more modern observation tools in a while. I think the last bit that I was playing with was like Nagios and maybe some Sumo Logic, app dynamics maybe, but very lightly, right? And
yeah, those are some heavy hitting tools, dude.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was enterprise, right? So
yeah.
But Nagios, yeah, that was anyway. That's for another time. But thanks again, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks very much, Angel. You've been a fountain of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. No, same to you. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we are available on Twitter. My handle is at punkdata. Mike, you want to?
And mine is UKMadLZ. And luckily they're both on screen. So
nice.
If you want to catch us later, feel free to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Signing off.